Wait a second. Hey, 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 Emily. How are you doing, girl? So today is the 24th of January, 2019. And so the January is almost over. And I had an amazing time yesterday during my first day of school. I went to my my welding class and loved it. I'm enjoying my instructor, and I'm going to start with uh, oxy. Give me a second for my brain to wake up. Oxyacetylene welding. Actually, it's not. I guess it is a kind of welding. And so I'll be sending you some photographs of the fun things that I'm doing as I'm welding metals together. Let's see, what is going on? Whew. All right, so what's going on with me today? I took some that chocolate chip cake to work yesterday because I couldn't eat it all. And I have an interest in making cupcakes soon. So I think that I'll put together some cupcakes. I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy a box cake, like a Duncan Hines or a Betty Crocker cake mix. And I'm thinking that I will not use eggs in the cake mix. And I think that I've been hearing that you actually don't need to put eggs into cake mix. So I'm going to give that a try. If that's the case, that would be amazing, because then all I've got to worry about in terms of eating vegan in a cake box that I can buy from the grocery store is just, it's just some mono and diglycerides that is derived from milk. And I'm actually not quite sure whether I have a problem with that. I think that's easy to dismiss if you ask me. The real concern I have about milk has more to do with cholesterol and saturated fats. These mono and diglycerides. Now, those are actually fats. Fatty acids are triglycerides, so mono and diglycerides are just varieties of fat. But I think that it's very measured. We'll have to see. I don't know. Anyway, I hope Emily, you're doing good today. Today is Thursday, and tomorrow I'm looking forward to going to my yoga class. And in fact, I need to think about what I'm going to wear to my yoga class. I haven't given that much thought. Let's see, I paid all my bills today. I'm just getting things done, like I do every day. So I was at the library yesterday in Santa Maria at the Allen Hancock College. And thankfully, what they're doing at the university is they are extending library hours to like 10 p.m. every day. And so I'm so thankful for that. I love late night library hours. I love hanging out in the library. I think I'm going to probably do that more often this year than I have in the past. I haven't hung out in libraries a lot in the past, mainly because the Allen Hancock College libraries, I think they used to close really early, like 7 o'clock p.m., 8 o'clock p.m. And I don't know. Now with the libraries open late, that gives me something to do. I can hang out there, read the newspaper, read a few magazines, browse the bookshelves, and just have a joyful time in the library. And so I'm pretty psyched about that. It's like, yes, long library hours. Yeah. And, unfortunately, the Lompoc Library is still, it's going to have rather short hours on Friday and on the weekends. In fact, I don't think the Lompoc College Library, Allen Hancock College Library, is even open on the weekends or holidays. So that's kind of a drag. That's okay. I don't spend a lot of time in libraries on weekends. I tend to spend time in libraries on weekdays. Anyway, so at the library, I picked up an amazing new book. This is called Panatti's Extraordinary Endings of Practically Everything and Everybody. And if you recall, a couple weeks ago, I was reading Panatti's Extraordinary Beginnings or Origins of Everyday Things. And that was a book that I had when I was a boy. This is a book that I really haven't spent a lot of time reviewing or perusing, but I thought that one thing we could do is we could read a passage in it and see how we like it. I don't know. We'll find out. And I did choose a selection, and it was the Pleistocene extinction, 10,000 years ago. Now, what I am intrigued about regarding the Pleistocene extinction is that it happened so just like yesterday. In geological terms, 10,000 years ago is like nothing. And not only that, but it was also coincident with the Ice Age. And I'm really fascinated to learn more about the Pleistocene extinction. So let's learn more about it. So Pleistocene extinction, 10,000 years ago, dominant life form, Homo sapiens, literally sapient man. I think sapient means wise man. So the Pleistocene epoch stretches from 2 million to 10,000 years ago and is popularly known as the period of the last great ice age. Its name derives from the Greek pleistos, kainos, meaning most new, for it is by geological standards the newest of times. Well, almost. Still newer, of course, is the time in which we're living, the Holocene, or recent new, which began when the Pleistocene ended and which will end, and it will end at some point with the next mass great extinction. By that time, deteriorating environmental conditions or threats of an extraterrestrial collision may have forced humans to colonize space. It would be wrong to think that there were no mass extinctions from the dying of the dinosaurs up until the Pleistocene ending. There were several species wipeouts at the end of the Paleocene epoch, 54 million years ago, at the end of the Eocene, 38 million years ago, of the Oligocene, 26 million years ago, of the Miocene, now 7 million years ago, and last at the close of the Pliocene, more than 2 million years ago. But the number of small rodents, mammals, birds, and fishes lost in these extinctions is slight compared to those that disappeared rather suddenly 10,000 years ago. Now, this is fascinating to me, I think, mainly because 10,000 years ago is like no time at all. It's like the last second. Worldwide, 50% of large mammals became extinct in the Americas. Whew, about 67% vanished. 50% of large mammals became extinct. The Pleistocene extinction is a vanishing trick that falls into the heading, now you see them, now you don't. For the first time, human beings were numerous. At the time, human beings were numerous all over the earth. Many people must have witnessed the great dying, if not been a large part of the cause. What died that otherwise might be roaming the world today? The massive mastodon, the shaggy-haired mammoth, and the fierce saber-toothed cat are among the most familiar. You know, I saw this at the Los Angeles Natural History Museum last weekend that I went to visit. I saw a mastodon skeleton, and I also saw a large cat that looked like a tiger. I don't think it was a saber-toothed cat, but it could have been. But vanishing at the same time were the woolly rhinoceros, a truly great breed of dog, the cave lion and the cave bear. Our North American continent lost its native horses. Horses were not reintroduced until the 1500s by the Spanish conquistadors. Plus, ground sloths, native camels, giant peccaries, species of mountain deer, extremely large beavers, four-pronged antelopes, the dire wolf, and our own native lions, a rich and diverse menagerie. And, you know, a lot of these I actually saw a lot of these bones, I saw bones reconstructed or cast. I saw at the Natural History Museum last Saturday. I did see ancient camels that roamed, that were native to North America. I saw small horses, again, which were native to North America, and some other mammals. I think I might have even seen a sloth. Oh yeah, absolutely saw a sloth. So there are clues as to who or what brought about the Pleistocene murder. Scientists who have been grappling with the issue for nearly 2 centuries agree that the extinction occurred between 11,000 and 10,000 years ago. They attribute the disappearing act either to a substantial change in climate that came with the end of the Ice Age, or to early nomadic hunters who had not yet settled down to become farmers, agriculture being the event that kicks off the beginning of civilization. Here is the circumstantial evidence for each suspicion. So it talks about human overkill, and it talks about climate. You know, I'm going to guess that it was more climate. So in fact, I'm going to read that passage anyway, emphasize that. It says, at the end of the last ice age, climate may also have played a significant role in the Pleistocene extinctions. The end of the last ice age saw a rise in sea levels as ice flows melted and inland temperatures evaporated lakes and streams by many feet. Large mammals were forced to congregate at the few remaining springs, becoming easier for victims for man's spears. Also, as areas warmed, species once confined to particular areas were able to migrate to new locations where they encountered unfamiliar predators and easily fell prey. In all likelihood, herds were stressed and diminished by environmental change, and it is possible that man, the super predator, through hunting and sport, applied the coup de grace to scores of species. With the extinction of numerous herding species, many predators that fed on them, the dire wolf, saber-toothed cat, and American lion, were doomed through a domino effect. The final word on the Pleistocene extinction is not in. If it is eventually proved that the first Americans caused the last great mass extinction, then it would fit smoothly with the fact that the killing of species goes on, and at accelerating rates. As we'll see in the next chapter, we are extinguishing more species today than our ancestors ever did. So this is, of course, a huge tragedy, and it is continuing, certainly, with the loss of biomass related to insects here on the planet Earth. I am very suspicious that the insect die-off that we're experiencing now is a combination of climate change and human pesticide use during farming. And of course, the colony collapse disorder from honeybees, I think, is also related to pesticides that we're using to grow our food. So, so anyway, I just want to suggest to you just how interesting this Pleistocene extinction event is, and how we can learn from it. This combination of climate and human impact on humans, on species of animals, having serious, substantial, significant effects, long-term effects, causing extinction of animals like the woolly mammoth and the saber-toothed tiger, the sloths, and the horses, the ancient horses, and other things is interesting. I don't know. I know. Here's the thing. I didn't really ever have a sense that the population of humans, even just 10,000 years ago, was so great to by itself cause a mass extinction. You'd think that there would be an uptick in the human population because early humans would have gotten nutrition and maybe had greater reproductive success. I don't know. I think I need to do a little bit more research on the Pleistocene extinction. And this book is quite old too. You see, I don't know what its copyright is, what its copyright date is, but let's find out. Looks like it's 1989. So this is a 30-year-old book, and I have a sense that we have a lot better research on the subject of the Pleistocene extinction today than we did 30 years ago. So we probably have a lot more insights. I think this might be a personal project where I do some study about it so that I can learn, maybe pass that learning along to you. But for me, it just emphasizes how important and interesting anthropology is and geology. All right. So I wanted to do a little Q&A here. We got to get this Kindle out of the unlocked state. That's what I'm working on in the background here. I'll figure it out. Okay. So let's go to the question and answer period section for today. So question number 201. What's your favorite ice cream brand and flavor? All right. Well, my favorite ice cream brand, I think, is Breyers. Now, here's the thing. It's been a long time since I've eaten Breyers ice cream. And mainly because it's been a good 2 years that I've been vegan now, or been trying to eat vegan. And so I don't eat ice cream very often. Now, I have been eating ice cream that is made from coconuts recently. I think it's called SoCo or Coso or something like that, or Soho. I forget what the brand is, but it's basically a coconut ice cream, a coconut-based ice cream. And I've really been enjoying that. I've been eating less ice cream lately. I've been eating more baked goods lately because I've been cooking in the kitchen. For example, I had some cake, some chocolate cake I spoke about that I brought to work yesterday and that I prepared earlier this week. So I made a yellow cake. It was just a box cake. And then prior to that, I had made some chocolate chip cookies. And so, it's those kinds of desserts that I'm focusing on now. In fact, now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm focusing on cupcakes. So I'm not focusing on ice cream right now. It's not a big focus. I, in fact, do have ice cream in my freezer right now. It's, I think it's a coconut ice cream. Yeah, it's coconut flavored ice cream that is made from a coconut base. So I'm going all coconutty with my ice cream, which, by the way, coconut makes amazing ice cream, and coconut makes also amazing cheese. The kind of cheese that I like to eat, the Chow brand, that fake cheese is made from a base of coconut. The nice thing about coconut is that it's pretty fatty. It actually has a lot of saturated fat in it. And its flavor can be pretty neutral. Speaking of thinking vegan and vegan food, I don't know if you've noticed, but Carl's Jr., the fast food burger chain, has introduced a new burger to their lineup. It's called the Beyond Carl's Jr. Star, the Beyond Star, I think it might be called. This is a burger that's made out of pea protein. And it's not a soy protein burger, but I've actually had Beyond Burgers before, and I really like Beyond Burgers. And in fact, I have an interest in trying the Carl's Jr. Beyond Burger. So I'm pretty psyched about doing that eventually. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. That sounds pretty reasonable. And in order to keep with the tradition of eating without eating this burger as a vegan burger, I think what I'll do is I'll ask to remove the cheese and the mayo. I think both the cheese and the mayo that they put on the Beyond Burger at Carl's Jr., oh, well, they're legit cheeses from dairy. So that'll be interesting. You know, that actually kind of reminds me of a dietary problem that I'm having lately, and that is finding a vegan chocolate. Now, I can find vegan, I mean, there's cocoa. Cocoa is not a problem. I can also find vegan chocolate chip cookies for my chocolate chip cookie, or chocolate chips for my chocolate chip cookies. But when it comes to like a chocolate bar, like a milk chocolate bar, unless I go for the super dark chocolate, like the 90% cacao, then I'm out of luck. Usually there's milk in milk chocolate. And so I guess what I could do is I could just eat white chocolate instead. I don't really know if there is milk in white chocolate, but I wouldn't be surprised if there were. I'd have to check. I just don't know. So, all right. So I said Breyers was my favorite brand of ice cream. My favorite flavors of ice cream? Boy, I tell you. Well, first of all, I like vanilla. That's probably the granddaddy of preferences for me. I really love vanilla. I really love chocolate and all the variations of chocolate, like the fudge brownie ice cream and the chocolate fudge swirls. I like the pralines and cream, which is like a pecan and caramel and vanilla flavor. I also like Rocky Road. Rocky Road's got marshmallows in it and chocolate chips, and it might even have some fudge swirls in it. That is some good stuff, let me tell you. And let's see, what else? Believe it or not, I'm a big fan of rainbow sherbet. I really like the sherbets, particularly orange sherbet. If I had a choice between rainbow sherbet and orange sherbet, I think I would choose orange sherbet every time. And I have been known to enjoy lime sherbet too. But I think I'm a real fan, particularly of the orange sherbet flavor. Now, that's actually kind of an interesting thing. I just said the word sherbet, but I think it's actually sherbet. Hey, Google, spell the word sherbet.
Sherbet is spelled S-H-E-R-B-E-T.
It's sherbet. Oh, for goodness sake. So I really need to come to agreement with myself to say sherbet. Orange sherbet, pineapple sherbet is actually kind of challenging to say. I've got to apply some thinking because I'm so used to saying sherbet. 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 Oh my gosh. That, believe it or not, that word is going to be hard for me to say. Orange sherbet. Hey, Google, spell the word sherbet.
Sherbet is spelled S-H-E-R-B-E-T.
No matter how many times I ask Google Home, it gives me the correct spelling of sherbet. And there's definitely no R in sherbet. Now, why did I grow up thinking that sherbet was pronounced sherbet? Where does that come from? You know, that in itself would be an interesting study. I would definitely read up on that because that is something that influenced me growing up. I always said sherbet, always. And even today, as a grown-up, I'm still focused on saying sherbet and not sherbet. Now, I wonder if sherbet is like the last name of some originator. Hey, Google, what's the origin of the word sherbet?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Hey, Google, define sherbet.
Here's the definition of sherbet. A frozen dessert made with fruit juice added to milk or cream, egg white, or gelatin.
Mm, yeah. So who knows? So let's go on to the next question. Question number 202. What's your all-time favorite meal? And how often do you enjoy it? Well, my favorite meal, not necessarily my favorite food, but my favorite meal. Well, I think my favorite meal is probably the Thanksgiving meal. You know, I had a Thanksgiving meal, fairly traditional Thanksgiving meal last Thanksgiving. Of course, I didn't eat turkey because I tried to eat vegan. It was like a soy loaf, some kind of grainy soy loaf instead of turkey, but it was quite good and fully satisfactory, I must say. So on my plate were hearty traditional foods of Thanksgiving. So we had that. I think it was like a gluten wheat soy loaf, and which was pretty good. I have to admit, I liked it. And then I had mashed potatoes and gravy. Come on, that is such good stuff. Loving my mashed potatoes and sweet potatoes. I'm a big lover of sweet potatoes. I'm sure I had some of that. And then I like the pumpkin soup. That's also quite good. I also am a big fan of dressing, what's also called stuffing. Really enjoyed that. I'm sure I had some of that. And, some assorted vegetables like, I don't know, like a corn medley or something, or some green beans. But I think that is my favorite meal. Now, I have a lot of favorite foods too. I mean, I love Mexican food. I love tacos and burritos. Oh man, I really can't get enough of burritos. If I could, I would eat burritos every single day. Also, I'm a big fan of pizza. Love that pizza. Any Italian food, the pizza, the lasagna, that is fantastic stuff. Chicken pot pie. Believe it or not, I'm a big fan of that. Love to have that chicken pot pie. It's so warm and cozy, and I don't know, there's something about chicken pot pie which just really makes me feel good when I'm eating it. I also like hamburgers, believe it or not. This Beyond Burger substitute meat substitute is just fantastic. I've been eating a lot of soy burgers, soy hamburgers, even soy hot dogs lately, and have been getting a lot of enjoyment out of that. And of course, who can say no to French fries? Loving those things. So I don't know, when it comes to food, I love food. I love eating food, and so excited when I get to try something new. Okay. Next question number 203. What's your all-time favorite movie, and how many times have you seen it? My all-time favorite movies, I'm guessing Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. I mean, I don't know, that I'm guessing that's could be one of my favorite movies. How many times have I seen it? Probably not too many times, maybe 5 times. Which, I don't know, is that a lot of times? For your favorite movie, I'm not so sure that that's a lot of times. But I also like other movies. The Empire Strikes Back. These are old classic movies. One movie that I like is Groundhog Day. That's another favorite of mine. I've seen that movie many, many times. Can't get enough of that one. That stars Bill Murray. I don't know. There's so many good movies out there. How often do I enjoy Groundhog Day? Maybe once a year. Here's the thing. I enjoy movies. I love movies. I have favorite movies. I just don't watch them all the time, especially these days. I don't watch a whole heck of a lot of movies. Now, I might watch them if I'm sick or or I'm tired or something like that. But if I got energy and I'm up and at 'em and working and doing stuff, chances are I'm not watching a movie. The thing about movies is that they take a lot of time, right? You're sitting down, and that's just not the way I operate in the world. I like to get up, get around, do things. And, I used to enjoy sort of being focused on a single story for 2 hours watching the movie, but it's become more difficult these days. I'm a lot more interested in what I tend to do is I tend to watch a movie for 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then stop that movie and then jump up and do something like wash the dishes or clean the house or sort something or do some internet research or something. And then when I'm done, I'll start the movie again. So for me, there's a lot of breaks while watching movies. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe I've become more ADHD as I've grown older. But part of that is just not wanting to sit down for that long. All right. So how many times have I seen my favorite movie? I don't know. Groundhog Day, it's probably up in the 8, 9, 10 times, which is a lot. Okay, question number 204. What's your dream job? Well, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about my dream job, honestly. In fact, I don't necessarily have one. I think that, every job has its benefits, including hidden benefits. And I have a sense that jobs are somewhat interchangeable. That, I've actually had a lot of different kinds of jobs. And I do have a sense that many of them are interchangeable. So I don't necessarily daydream a lot about a dream job. I think what you could do is you can make the current job you have your dream job. That is definitely more up my alley. How can you change your perspective in ways that makes your job a dream job? There are ways that you can make any job a dream job by emphasizing the parts of the job that you love, the ones that fit with your personality, the ones that work for you. But what's my dream job? I'm afraid I don't have one. Now, I do have the sense of, let's say, an ideal job, and it would be a kind of job that I do just as a matter of course, right? That I would do voluntarily, whether I got paid to do it or not. And, that might involve maybe doing some presenting. It might involve learning or organizing. It might involve making YouTube videos like I am right now. I don't know. Sometimes I look at the content creators on YouTube and I admire what they've done. They've got lots of subscribers and they appear to be making some money doing the work that they do. I know it's really difficult to make money using YouTube. But, if it's something that you enjoy doing, maybe it's not that hard, right? If it's something that you would do anyway, something that gives you pleasure and joy. Now, let me tell you, Emily, with this channel and with the speaking that I'm doing now, I have no desire to have anyone watch these videos other than you. For me, as far as I'm concerned, this is a conversation between me and you, Emily. And, other people can eavesdrop, I think. They may not find it interesting. I would be surprised if you even found some of these videos interesting. And if you found some of them interesting, that would be fantastic. That would warm my heart. But for me, it's mostly a labor of love. It's an activity that at least brings me closer to you in some way, right? Anyway, what's the next question? Question number 205. When you need to confront someone, would you rather communicate in person, on the phone, by email, or by letter, or why? Well, it depends on what the confrontation is about. Sometimes email can be an excellent way to negotiate an agreement, but sometimes face-to-face is the way to go. It sort of depends on the subtlety of the distinctions and arguments that I'm trying to make. It depends on the personality of the other person. It depends on the, the context about, I sort of have to make assumptions about confronting another person, about that word and even what it means. First of all, I do not do a lot of confronting. If I confront anyone, I might confront them in the sense that I might ask them a question. But then I might also frame that question in a way where I'm asking that question of myself and won't necessarily challenge the other person to answer it. That is, answer my question. So I don't know. I don't know how I would go about confronting another person. I really don't do a lot of confronting. But I do make requests. I don't think that making requests is necessarily confronting. If making requests is not confronting, then I don't really know what confronting is. Now, there's instructing. There's teaching. I do that. There's making statements of fact. I do that. But I don't necessarily confront. Confront is a word that implies, it's kind of a loaded word. It implies judgment. It implies like shoulds, woulds, and coulds. And I'm not usually in that space in conversations. I rarely feel that I have to confront anybody. And so that's good news, I guess. But how would I do it? If the subject were a sensitive subject, I would do it in person. And it kind of depends on my partner that I'm doing the confrontation with. If a person is not that technically savvy, there are people who are just not savvy. They're not going to, internet savvy. They're not going to read their email. They're not going to respond to their email. They're not going to respond to their text messages. They may not even know how to text, right? So, of course, I wouldn't choose to confront anyone with email or text messages if they weren't technologically savvy. And, believe it or not, a lot of my acquaintances, while many of them are technically savvy, and certainly a majority of them, if I were to do, for the people that I do have to do any confronting with, chances are they're not that technologically savvy. So I'd probably speak to them in person in that case. The reason I would do that would be to maintain goodwill, to maintain some kind of equity in the conversation, establish common ground, and, I would couch my confronting statements in appreciations. And I would easily have like a 5-to-1 ratio of appreciations to facts that I would describe. So, that's just my conversational style. Here's the thing about confronting in a way that I think is implied by this question. When a person confronts another person, quite often they're still doing some processing of their own emotions, like the initiator is. And, I think it's important to really perform a lot of self-empathy first before you do confronting and get to an even keel emotionally. You got to make sure that your attitude is clean before you sort of partner with other people around you. I call it partnering. I don't necessarily confront with anyone. There's another thing too. Well, you know, well, I kind of lost my thought. But yeah, I don't do a lot of confronting. There's a lot of judgment in that word. I wouldn't even use the word confronting. I don't like the word confronting. I don't want it. I'm not sure I've ever confronted. I have pointed out, but I don't think I've ever confronted. Oh yeah, my point is this, is that, if you're really caught in that mentality of having to confront someone, the problem is that my guess is that your effectiveness level will be low. See, I don't have interactions where my effectiveness levels are low. I try to get as much leverage as I can, and a confrontation per se is a low effective action. It's not an action that gets a lot of traction, right? And so, I never use it. Why would I confront anyone if it would not be useful to me? Like, it wouldn't work to satisfy my needs in the future in some way. It's a substandard way of communicating with another person. So that's why I say I never confront people. I do a lot of other things though. Like, for example, I guide people. I don't confront them. Okay. Next question. Question number 206. Which do you prefer, the hustle and bustle of city life or the quiet and serenity of country life, and why? So, human beings are varied. They have a lot of needs, and part of what they need is excitement. And another thing they need is peace. And I need both excitement and peace. And so this idea of the hustle and bustle of the city is stimulating to me and exciting, and it sounds like an adventure waiting to happen. And but I'm also drawn to this idea of a small town where things happen slowly and peacefully and everyone's friendly. And so now if I had a choice, I would probably live in a small town and then be able to drive to larger towns. To be continuously confronted with adventure like every day as I'm going to work through like traffic or car accidents or something like that, that is not interesting to me. So now I like hustle and bustle. I find it enjoyable to be around people who are taking ownership of their lives and they're driven to meet their goals. And so I like being around that kind of culture, that subculture. And I think I would definitely thrive in that subculture. But I'm also really enjoy peaceful, laid back towns where people are friendly and accommodating and gracious and kind and slow. And I also like the beauty of the small town. Small towns are surrounded by mountains and water and trees quite often. And, there's often the skyline is not dominated by skyscrapers or big buildings or anything like that. So, there are virtues to each living situation and to each his own, I guess. A lot of the time people don't have a choice about where they live, mainly because where they live is where they work. And, people will find work, and the job openings are, sometimes in towns that are less desirable than people would prefer. You know, I know people move all over the United States along with their job, and maybe will live in a less preferable town so that they can keep the job that they love. And that makes a lot of sense. I'm all on board with that. And and you know what? On occasion, it just so happens that people find work that they love to do in towns that they love to do it in, right? Whether it's the small town, middle-sized town, or large town. Okay. Question number 207. Do you read or study best in silence or in a place with background noise, and why? Well, for me, it's silence. The more silent a room is, the more focused my concentration. In fact, when I'm studying, you'll often see me put earplugs in my ears to protect from extraneous sounds that might disturb my focus. I'm definitely interested in maintaining focus and concentration when I'm reading books, and any kind of noise can be distracting, even momentarily distracting, and it could slow down my progress, slow down what I'm imagining, you know, create distractions. You know, I've been distracted by while I'm reading. I've been distracted by conversations outside my home, um, vehicles starting up or shutting down, um, security systems going off inadvertently. I definitely prefer quiet. Okay. Question number 208. Do you prefer exercising your mind or your body? And how frequently do you do either? So these questions are so dichotomous. You know, do you like exercising either your mind or your body? You know, it's kind of funny. It's creating a false dichotomy. Um, you know, it's important to exercise both mind and body. And how often do I exercise my mind? Continuously. I mean, every time I go to work and go to school, I'm exercising my mind. Even when I'm being relatively passive and just watching a YouTube video, I'm exercising my analytical skills. You know, I'm often learning new things. Now, I work out too. I exercise my body. These days, I've been working out 3 or 4 days a week. I've been interested in increasing that to 5, 6, or 7 days a week. I have had sporadic times when I've worked out 5 days a week, and I've really liked it. And I do have an interest in possibly exercising 7 days a week, but I'm a little bit concerned about the impact of that on some of my activities on the weekend. Like, I like to go to amusement parks on the weekend. Like, I'll go to Six Flags or something, and I've never done a workout and done Six Flags at the same time on the same day. To me, that just sounds like, I don't think I'd want to do that, because my workouts are pretty intense. I often feel a little bit tired and drained after the workout. Sometimes I might burn 6, 7, 800 calories during a workout, you know, almost 1,000 calories. And that's a significant hit for a guy who only eats about 2,000 calories a day. I'm tired. You know, quite often my muscles are fatigued the day that I'm working out, and even the day after I'm working out. And so those days I might have low energy. So I am not working out 7 days a week. My goal, I think, would be to work out 5 days a week, 90 minutes each time. You know, that's an hour and a half. I think that's pretty significant. Working out 5 days a week for an hour and a half each time. That is definitely a goal I think worth striving for. So to answer the question explicitly, how frequently do I exercise my mind? Well, I pretty much exercise it continuously. I exercise it every day, every time I'm reading something. or at work. And how often do I exercise my mind? I mean, my body. Right now, I'm doing, say, 4 days a week. I'd like to move it up to 5 days a week, and then move up to ensuring that I work out at least 90 minutes a day, every day of that 5 days in that week. All right, what's the next question? Question number 209. Do you prefer that people shoot straight with you or carefully temper their words, and why? Well, I am a big believer in using both methods. I like to hear the bottom line, upfront story too. But I'm also okay with the slower, more roundabout explanation. Again, it depends on the context. It's not always. You don't necessarily always want to tell people bottom line up front because it might be startling. Do you prefer people straight shoot with you or carefully temper their words? I'll take both. I like straight shooters, but here's the thing with straight shooters. Straight shooters can be harsh and thoughtless sometimes. And I know they mean well, and it might just come from a place of low energy where they're just not willing to take the time. Maybe they haven't even had the time to put together a response that is both accurate and respectful. And I can accept that. Sometimes context demands expressions that are timely and even a little coarse sometimes. Yeah, I'm not bothered by it. The fact is, everyone is challenged in their lives to some extent, and they're always doing the best they can with the energy levels that they have, the level of concentration they have, the learnings that they've experienced in the past through past conditioning. And I could accept that. I can accept that. So however anyone wants to deliver information to me, I am willing to accept that information. Okay, next question. Question number 210. Are you more of a dog person or a cat person, and why? Well, I'm more of a dog person, that's for sure. I've had both dogs and cats. I like dogs because of their social nature. They're definitely, happy to show up. I'm less a fan of cats. Cats seem to be pretty aloof and independent, and I've never really had a really strong emotional connection with a cat, but I have had strong emotional connections with dogs. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up here, and I just wanted to thank you for clicking the link and being open to hearing about the Pleistocene extinction. And that reminds me that I want to do some research about it and learn more about the Pleistocene extinction. I think there's going to be a Holocene extinction coming up. I think we're in the midst of the Holocene extinction. That's the extinction that's happening right now. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for spending some time with me and learning about what's going on with me in the moment today. And I hope you have a fantastic day today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do this weekend, but one thing I am interested in doing is going to my yoga class tomorrow night. And so excited. It's going to be so fun. I'm just so thrilled. I still have to figure out what I'm going to wear tomorrow. So I'm kind of curious if you're into yoga yourself and whether that's something that's interesting to you. And anyway, I want to let you know that I love you. I care for you. I'm devoted to supporting you as your father. And that means gifting you resources, my time, my energy, my money to help you achieve the goals that you want to achieve in your life. And at the same time, I'm also willing to step back, give you the freedom, the independence, the autonomy that you need to grow and transform into the amazing woman that I know that you can be. Okay? I love you. Bye-bye.